Hello, everybody. Just give it 30 seconds or so while classes are joining and videos are loading up. So this is being recorded, but you'll see that there is not an option to turn your video on if you're attending this webinar, just due to the format that this is. But the chat will remain open, and so feel free to be joining in and saying hello and where you're joining from. It'd be great to still interact with everybody, even though we can't see your videos for now. And I'm going to get started just in interest of time. So my name is Stephanie. I'm part of the team here at Take Me Outside. And we have some other folks working behind the scenes, but you'll see mostly my face for a minute here, and then I will pass it over to our lovely guest, Haley. So Take Me Outside, if you are familiar with our organization, if you've joined one of our workshops or webinars before, welcome back. Maybe you were on the workshop this morning, maybe you joined us yesterday. So Take Me Outside Week is in full swing. Today is day 2, so our theme is health and well-being today. And if you missed anything yesterday, the recordings are now up on YouTube and on the Take Me Outside webpage, so check those out. But we're really happy to have you joining us here today. And if you are just joining us for the first time, or if you're unfamiliar to Take Me Outside, well, welcome. And Take Me Outside, to just give a quick intro, sorry if you've heard it before, our mission is to encourage students and teachers to spend time outdoors and to have that time as a regular part of their everyday learning. So I'm joining from Vancouver Island in the southwest part of British Columbia. And where I grew up, is unceded Coast Salish territory. And the Kawatsan people, the Cowichan tribes, and the Hulkaminam speaking people have stewarded this land since time immemorial. And I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to spend time on this land and to be living here and working here. And so please let me know where you're joining in from in the chat. It should be open for everybody. And hopefully you've had some time to spend outdoors this week, or you have some time scheduled this week. Outdoor learning has so many amazing benefits, and we'll be talking about a few of those today. And just getting outside, spending time outside in nature. Please share your experiences in the chat. We'll have some time to interact a little bit more in a minute. And so this webinar is online, but we want it to use it as a chance to inspire you to talk about different parts of outdoor learning, spending time in nature. So after this, please do make time to go outside, breathe fresh air, detach from screens. That's what we're all about. That's what we're passionate about. And I'm just going to introduce Haley in a minute here. But before I do, as we're talking about outdoor learning, let us know in the chat, what is your favorite way to be outside or be mindful outside? And we'll be reading those, and we love to see just different interactions in the chat. So please share your favorite way to be outside, to be mindful outside, spend time outdoors. And let us know where you're from too, because we have folks joining across Canada, across North America. I know that there also are other folks joining from beyond there as well. And the webinar format, you can either send chats into just the hosts and panelists, so just the folks on screen, or you can send it to everybody. So just to be mindful of that. So I'm going to introduce Haley in a minute. Haley is going to talk to us all, and then we'll save some time for questions at the end. And then we'll have some awesome prizes to give away at the end too. So if you can stay for the full hour, we would love that, and hope you can stay till the end. So folks sharing in the chat, daily walks, amazing. Yeah, playing games, playing soccer, just being outside in the fresh air, hiking, cleaning up trash, bike riding, amazing. Thank you for sharing all of these ways to spend time outside. And so we have a really special guest here with us today, who will tell us why being active outdoors is so important, what one of her favorite ways of being active outdoors is. It involves a paddle. Maybe some of you already know, but I'm going to introduce Haley and let her talk about it herself. So Haley Daniels is an athlete, a pioneer of her sport, and an advocate. She represented Canada in the Tokyo 2020-21 Olympics in the sport of canoe slalom, where these games went down in history. She's a multi-time Canadian champion, where she won a bronze medal at the Toronto 2015 Pan American Games, gold medal at the 2018 Pan American Championships, and competed in World Cups and World Championships. Her sport has gone through a gender equality battle where historically men have represented in canoe at the Olympic Games and women have not. On a mission for gender equality in her sport, she and a group of motivated female canoeists globally led the charge to push for inclusion of women's canoeing at the Olympics. As a result of their tremendous determination, women's canoeing was added to the Tokyo Olympic Games program. So I'm going to share a quick video and then pass it off to Haley. And we're going to put a link to the video in the chat if you'd like to watch it later as well. So can you see my video? It's not showing up for me here. Can you folks see the video?
You can see a black screen stuff. Maybe if it recalibrates if you hit play.
Okay, let's see. How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
Perfect, thank you. Sorry about that pause. Hopefully everyone got settled to watch this video. So it's 2.5 minutes. And here we go.
My name is Haley Daniels. I grew up paddling in the Alberta mountains on lakes and rivers with my family. I was in a boat before I could walk. We would go out at the earliest of dawn or just at dusk to catch the quiet and the calm of the water. Now, I train 6 hours a day, 6 days a week as Canada's national champion. My goal, the Tokyo 2020 Games, as one of the women to represent Canada in slalom canoeing. It's a role and a right we fought for, to have women officially recognized as competitors in the sport for the first time. I work, I go to school, I speak, I volunteer, I represent at home and around the world. What keeps me going? Keeps me motivated? It's a sense of mind, a mantra. My father asking me, what will your legacy be? I believe you can change the world, even just one small stroke at a time. That every moment counts, but a vision can take a lifetime. That dreams and goals are nothing without hard work. That we can defy what's been done, the rules, the status quo. To never accept defeat, always get back up. I believe in friends and family, connecting with what matters most. And I believe in my dog, Scouty. That nourishing the soul is as important as nourishing the body. That playtime is so important for kids, but also for adults, who sometimes forget what it is. I rediscover the awe and power of nature every time I hit the water or the trails, and this sense of responsibility for protecting it. I learn something new every day and seek to pass that on in all that I do. I believe in balance, harmony in all things. With that, anything is possible, and that's what keeps me going.
Amazing. Thank you. Oh, one sec here. There we go. All right. So with that, I am going to pass it over to our guest, Haley Daniels.
Awesome. I'm so excited to be here. I'm calling from Canoe, Alberta, and I grew up in Calgary, Alberta, and I'm on the Treaty 7 Southern Alberta Territory on Stoney Nakoda. And I'm outside. Is anyone else outside? Or are you inside? I'd love to hear about it. I am so excited to be sharing to you today why it's important for me to be outside and why I want all of you to experience beautiful places, because it gives us joy and it gives us the ability to feel the place that we live and the places we need to protect. So as you heard, my sport is women's canoeing. So you go down green gates and up red gates on a whitewater course as quickly as possible. So if you touch a gate, it's a 2-second penalty. And if you miss a gate, it's a 50-second penalty. So you really don't want to miss a gate. And as you heard, our sport, the men were in the Olympics and the women were not. So myself and this group of female canoeists, we fought for gender equality, and we were finally added to the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. And I was able to represent Canada at these games, and it was one of the coolest experiences, even though it was delayed by a year and it was very COVID games. It was such an amazing opportunity to know that I fought for our right to be there. And when last year I was in Europe and I was away from home for 7 months, and I really, really missed home, and I couldn't come home because of quarantines. And I found myself being in cities a lot while in Europe, and I really, really just wasn't feeling myself. So myself and my sports psychologist, we worked together. And we figured out a way for me to feel fulfilled and to feel happy. And it was very simple. It was going outside. So here we are outside, and I would go for walks every day in these European cities, and I would just notice what's around me, notice nature. I would look at the trees. I'm looking up at the trees in front of me right now. They have yellow leaves on them because it's fall here. But I would feel green spaces, and I would feel that connection, and I would feel so grounded. And when I went back into a very urban space, I just felt motivated and excited because I knew that I had that connection with nature. So traveling the world and seeing all these different places through the eyes of where I was able to paddle, I also noticed that all of these places are changing because of climate change. And we all know that there's a lot of differences that are happening because of climate change right now. I know here in Alberta, it's abnormally hot right now. Usually it's quite cold. And so we're wondering, why is it this warm? And so I was in Australia in 2020, and I was there during the big fires. So if we can remember hearing about all of the fires that were in Australia, and there was koalas' homes getting destroyed, and there was smoke everywhere. I was there during that, and I could see the smoke. And then when I came back to Canada, I was at a training camp in Chilliwack, BC. And if there's anyone from Chilliwack here, I would love to hear about it. But I was in a training camp in Chilliwack, BC, and I got stuck there during the flood. And I really realized that I myself as a person and an influential person as an athlete need to speak up and protect these places that we're living in, because the climate is changing before us, and we need to change our ways so that we can protect it and still play and be connected to these beautiful places. So that's why I'm with Protect Our Winters, and that's an organization that you can find more about if you just Google it there. But it's outdoor enthusiasts and athletes fighting for our Mother Earth, and really just looking after how we can make conscious choices to speak up for Earth. So I want to try something with you. I know I can't see you, but you can see me. And something that I do when I connect with nature is a thing called box breathing. So I know this morning we had some ways we could move outside, but I want to show you ways that you can connect with the air and yourself. So if you draw a box in front of you, just like this, you can use your right or left hand and just draw a box. And so box breathing is something that firefighters use before they run into a burning building so they can calm their mind down and then approach whatever it is that's scaring them in front of them. So we're going to try it together. I'm really excited to try this. So how I do this, I'm actually going to have the sun on my face because that's something that makes me feel joy. And I'm going to inhale for 4 seconds, pause in one of the corners for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, pause for 4 seconds, inhale for 4 seconds, pause for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds. So you can do many of these boxes. And for me, it helps me calm down. And I do this before I start a race and I'm at the start line. But I also do it when I'm feeling overwhelmed. Some days I know I'm in university right now, so I'm in a form of school. And when I feel like I have tests, there's so many things going on, I go outside and I just do 1 or 2 boxes of breathing, and instantly I feel better. And I feel relief. I feel my shoulders calm down. I feel my face relax, and I feel excited to take on whatever it is that's in front of me. So I implore you to try these box breathing exercises, and you can do them inside or outside, but it's so much more beneficial outside because you get that fresh air. So there's so many different things that you can do in terms of being outside. I'm here in the mountains, so you can go hiking. I really love biking and paddling. And the reason that I was here paddling is because my parents took me on adventures outside and made me realize how much I love adventuring and finding joy in different areas and green spaces. So you can try things like gardening or having a plant in your room, or bringing these green spaces to you are really going to just help you calm down and remove the toxicities from the indoor air. And if you have a plant in your classroom, learn about if it needs sun or if it needs different watering techniques, because watching something grow is one of the most amazing feelings. I am now retired, so I'm no longer competing in high performance sports, but I was a wildland firefighter for the summer. And so I basically got to be James Bond of the woods. So if there was a fire, I would get a request with my 4-person crew, and we would fly over in a helicopter to this fire, and then we would get dropped off with our pump, maybe a chainsaw so we could cut a helipad, and really our excitement, and fight this fire so we can protect our beautiful areas. And I also realized how many more fires are happening because of the heat. So I think if we can all realize that our climate's changing, and if we can find ways to really make a difference. I know for me, I try and bring a coffee cup everywhere I go, reusable bags. I turn down the heat in my house here so that I put on a jacket instead of turning up the heat. All of these things are going to definitely be a way that we can make an impact. So really, that's what I wanted to share with you today. And I know that there are so many different ways that we can get outside together, and I really want to know how everyone gets outside here. I know it's only 6 degrees here in Canoe, Alberta, so it's a little chilly, but I can feel my hands warming up if I put it together. But yeah, I see a question here in the box, the chat box, and I'm going to address it here. But grade 3 class wants to know why I retired. So I did high performance sport for 15 years, if you can imagine. So I was professionally a paddler for 15 years, and it's winter in Canada. So we ended up traveling for most of the winter to warmer locations so that we could be on the water as much as possible. And I decided to retire because I wanted to stay home, and I wanted to just see a different part of my life. And you can't be an athlete forever. Your body doesn't last that long. So I decided that I'm trying a different aspect of life, and that's trying to be a firefighter. So I don't know if the Take Me Outside team here wants to facilitate any more questions, but we can come back to that.
Sure, yeah. If you want to field some questions now, or yeah, it's up to you. Yeah, I see a question. And folks, you can type it into the chat to everybody or send it directly, or if you want to put your hand up, you can use the raise hand function and we can unmute you, and you can ask it yourself if you want. So any of those options are great. So what are some of the barriers for getting outside, and how to overcome those?
Yeah, so sometimes it's cold outside. That's a barrier. So we want to make sure we have the proper ways. To me, I think there's no bad weather, there's just bad clothing. So to make sure we have good jackets so we can go outside and play. I think that also it's hard when we're busy and we have a lot going on. So I try and do this thing where I try and do 10 minutes outside before 10 a.m. So I work from home. I work at, right now I'm trying to get into a structural fire department, but I'm currently in a remote position. And I find sometimes I will forget to leave the house. And so I need to remember to go outside and feel the sun on your skin and remember how much joy that gives me.
Thanks. Yeah. And I mean, you can see some of the questions coming in as well, but I don't mind fielding them. And
I'll look at them here if that's okay with you, Steph.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I have a question here from Miss Marizo, and she said, "Why did I become a firefighter?" So I love helping people, and I one of my favorite parts of being an athlete was being able to use my body so that I could work my hard work and dedication to help other people. And so being a firefighter is really just being a problem solver for an area that we're in. So that's why I wanted to be a firefighter. And it's a very different position, and there are more male firefighters than female firefighters. So we're trying to change that, but I'm very excited about this career path. So I'm going to look to Miss Susan's grade 3-4. And she said, where would I like to know, where have I spent most of my time paddling? So I grew up in Calgary, and I have a cabin in a place called Invermere, BC. And I grew up paddling on this lake called Windermere Lake. That's where I fell in love with paddling. And then I spent most of my time on the Kananaskis River and the Bow River in Calgary. But my favorite place in the world to paddle is probably Slovenia or New Zealand, because it's just the bluest water. And in New Zealand, sometimes when you go paddling at night, there's glowworms on the caves. So you're paddling and you have these glowworms in front of you, and then you have stars above you, and it's a very cool thing. Okay, so then how did it feel to be an Olympic athlete? It's a hard question. It was one of the most amazing experiences, and now transitioning from sport, it's been a little bit hard to grapple with because being an athlete is such a big part of my identity. But I think the coolest thing for me was our Olympic trials were in Krakow, Poland last year. And I had worked 15 years and put all of my sweat and all of my dedication, everything I did was to that one moment of Olympic qualifications. And when I finally made it, I wanted to celebrate that with my family and my friends. And I think that I want to give you inspiration to follow your dream and your passion, because once you achieve it, it is a feeling that it is one of the best feelings ever. And so I treasure that moment forever. Okay, so we're looking to Nation View, and they're grade 4 or 5 students in Nation View would like to know my age I started competing. So I've been an athlete kind of my whole life, but I started competing when I was 14, and I made the junior national team when I was 17. And I'm now 31, to give you some perspective. What's my happiest moment in my sports career? I think for me, my happiest moment was really being able to fight for gender equality and get to that start line and be one of the first female canoeists to ever cross the start line at the Olympics. For me, I worked so hard to get that gender equality, and it worked out very well. Okay, we've got one from Laura here. What was training to be a firefighter like with sport training? So I'm still in the hiring process right now with the Calgary Fire Department. That's where I'm trying to get into. But with wildland firefighting, it was a lot of fitness testing. So we did fitness every day. We did a thing called a pack walk. So you put a 75-pound bag on your back, and that's how heavy the hose is. And then you walk around with this to get fitness. And we would walk up hills with this 75-pound bag. So it was a lot of work, but I know that my athleticism translated to being a wildland firefighter. Miss Merziro says, I hope I'm saying that right. How do you feel now that you're retired? I think retirement at 31 is kind of a funny thing because, we think about retirement as something that's later in our life, but I think now I feel relieved and sad a little bit. I do miss sport, but now I get to be able to share with experiences like this and help other young athletes follow their dreams and hopefully recognize that sport can be a part of their life and get outside. I'm going to do a couple more questions here if that's okay, Steph.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we got lots of time.
Cool. So have you ever been, this is from Katie. Hey, Katie. This is a fellow mother of a paddler. So nice to see you here. Have you ever been anywhere in the world where wilderness compares to Canada? Oh, it's a hard question because Canada is so amazing. I always would, whenever I would go to different places across the world, I would come back to Canada and I'd be like, we live in a beautiful place. And so there's definitely some places in the world that have stunned me for sure. Being in the rolling hills of the Abu Dhabi desert was very cool. Seeing Brazil and Rio de Janeiro and crocodiles within the water there was another experience. Being in Australia and seeing kangaroos and deadly snakes in the water you're paddling. But I think Canada is my favorite place in the world. Okay, so we have Madame Robson and grade 6 students, and they want to know, being a firefighter is a good career. Yeah, I mean, you have to me, I think you have to follow your passion, and there's so many things that are going to come at you, and you have so many choices, but find out what you love and find out what you don't like, and that'll bring you towards what it is that you do want to do, and getting outside will also help you with that. So for me, I have a business degree. So this is the second question here. I'm finishing my business degree here at Royal Roads University in Victoria, but it's a distance learning. And I love marketing and I love that aspect of things, but I really struggle to sit at a desk. So for me, being a firefighter, I get to move around and talk to people and interact. And I think you don't actually see that many fires. Mostly you see smoke detector calls or things like that. So you don't see as many fires as the job says you do. Okay, what is the cause of most forest fires? That's a great question. So most of the forest fires in Alberta and BC and Ontario and Quebec, those are most of the places that I know that have big areas of forest, are caused by lightning strikes. So, and lightning happens when there's friction in the air. I'm sure you've learned about this in your environmental class, so I can't give you the full science breakdown, but basically lightning strikes down and it starts a little fire and then it just grows. And then the second biggest cause is us humans. So not putting out fires. So make sure you put out your fires, or sometimes cigarette butts or ATVs have sparks that come off them. So yeah, there's a lot of different causes. So we have from Nation View, they're wondering what I'm studying. I talked about this earlier. I'm doing a business and communications degree. And that's just to follow my passion of business as well. Okay, we have HS Paul School. Do you have a favorite body of water to canoe in? Well, I kind of talked about a couple places there, but to me, there's this beautiful lake here in Alberta called Moraine Lake. And it's got the view of the 10 peaks, and it's such an amazing place to paddle. So I do love to try and get out there once a summer. Okay, we have Stephanie here. and she's giving us some more questions here. So I'm going to look down, and we've got UC 21067. What was the hardest thing to overcome as a canoeist? Oh, it's a long list. But I think that it's showing up every day. When you're dedicated to a big cause, it's very hard to show up every day and be motivated. So finding motivation. Oh, an eagle just flew over my head with a mouse. Oh my gosh, I wish you guys saw that. That was crazy. Okay. I can't believe that. Okay. This is what happens when you live in a mountain town. I bumped into a bear on my driveway the other day. Who knew? But I think that just finding motivation every day and finding your why. So that was a big thing to overcome, how I can show up every day. Okay, and then how did my family support me as an athlete? I think my mom and dad are always very supportive of me being athletes, or being an athlete, and following my passion. And so they've always been there for me. My dad was actually a judge at the Olympics in Rio and Tokyo. So yeah, I think just having support from your family from what you do is so important. Have I ever been injured in my sport? Oh goodness. Okay. I've broken almost 15 bones. I've broken my nose many times. I broke my collarbone, shattered my kneecap. I've had 4 knee surgeries, lots of injuries. And every time I had to come back and put myself in a good headspace. And I would always do that box breathing to make sure that I was, making sure that I was ready and able to get back to my sport. How did you get so good in my sport? From Miss Johnstone. Practice makes perfect. I know we hear it all the time, but finding out my weaknesses and then working on those weaknesses. We did a lot of video review, and I would watch other people who were very good at my sport and understand how I could be good like they are. I'm going to just keep on rolling here because we got a couple more stuff, if that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. We have the full hour. We'll do some prizes and stuff at the end, but we don't need too much time for that. And there's so many questions coming in. I love to see it. People are so excited.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love all these questions. So keep them rolling. So what were the Olympics like? Oh my gosh, they were so cool. I think it was definitely a different Olympics because of the pandemic, but I was just so immersed in it. And we were only allowed to go from the venue to the Olympic Village, and that's what we were able to see. But the Olympic Village was such a cool place. You walk around and you see these famous athletes. The food hall is where everyone eats. And I remember going in and seeing Kelly Slater and Tony Hawk and Naomi Osaka and all these athletes that I looked up to. And they're just right there in the food hall eating. Yao Ming, one of the tallest basketball players, got to see him. So it was very cool for me to see these other athletes. But it was also very distracting. So I really tried to focus on just being focused so that I could be ready for my debut. But I think one of the coolest parts of the Olympics was just wearing Team Canada gear and being a part of a team, and knowing that my entire life's work led to that moment. So I'm very proud of it. So we have a question about what Protect Our Winters is. So as you see, I'm wearing my Protect Our Winters hoodie here, but Protect Our Winters is outdoor enthusiasts, or any of you who love being outside, and athletes, professional athletes, fighting for climate change. So you can Google them and you can find out more, but one of the best ways to fight for climate change and to be a part of a cause is to join a group like Take Me Outside or Protect Our Winters, because we need to basically fight climate change in numbers. We need strength in numbers, and we need to put pressure on our elected officials to make these big decisions. So that's what Protect Our Winters does, is it helps campaigns and gives us opportunity to make a difference in our environment. Okay, can I tell you about my Olympic race? Well, sorry, my nose is a little runny here. It was very hot that day. It was the hottest Olympics ever recorded in history. It was 42 degrees with humidity. So we had cooling vests, and my coach was bringing towels to put on so that we wouldn't get too hot. And I was really nervous. I remember my hand shaking a little bit. But I got to that start line, and I remember smiling and just knowing that I could be there and race. And my first run didn't go very well. And my second run, unfortunately, I missed a gate. As we talked about at the beginning, when you miss a gate, it's a 50-second penalty. Had a lot of pressure that I didn't manage well in my head. And yeah, it didn't go as well as I wanted to, but to me, I accomplished my goal, which was getting our sport in the Olympics and getting to the highest level of my sport. So if I could go back, I replay that race in my head over and over and over again. But I think that all you can do is show up and be as great as you can on that day. And I pushed myself and did everything I could in that day. So why did I start paddling? My parents took me on canoe trips when I was younger, and my brother and I would sit in a canoe, and we'd have a packed canoe, and we'd go for a couple days. And I loved the rush of water, and I loved being outside. I loved being in a sport that literally took me outside because I am just my happiest and most enthusiastic self when I get to be connecting with nature. So we've got Mrs. Dumont, grade 5-6. And what were some of the barriers to fight for gender equality in sport? I think when you're fighting for a cause in general, the hardest thing is having everyone see eye to eye with you. So being an advocate, there's a burden with that. And so I think for me, it was just continuing to know that I'm fighting for so many people, but now we've left a legacy for so many future women in sport. So I think that one of the barriers was just believing in it every day, because sometimes you get pushback, but we were successful, and you just have to believe in your cause. Okay, we're going through these. There's lots of questions. This is so awesome.
Yeah, we can, and we'll just leave some time for prizes, maybe in like 5, whenever you're like, whenever you want to ask, however many you want to answer, and then we'll just leave 5-10-ish minutes or something, 10-15 at the end.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll do maybe 5 more questions here, and then we'll be done.
Sure, sounds good. Thanks so much.
Yeah, totally. I'm happy there's so many questions. We're engaged, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So how did I maintain motivation with my exercise routine? So I worked with my coach and my team to put down our goals. And I knew that sometimes when my motivation was lost, I would remember that if I didn't train that day, someone else could beat me. Or if I was feeling tired that day, I knew that I could rest the next day. So just really, my motivation came from that bigger goal of wanting to get to the Olympics and knowing that I had to push myself continually to get there. And of course, Mrs. Dumont, grade 5-6, I paddle for fun all the time. This summer I was very busy with wildfire, so I didn't get out to paddle as much as I want to. I love mountain biking. That's my second passion. So I've been mountain biking a lot. If you go on my Instagram, you can see a lot of my mountain biking passion. But I try and get out paddling as much as possible. And then winter I go skiing. Okay. I'm just going to look to see, there's so many questions here. There's a lot about injury and scary firefighters. Why is it called canoe slalom? Okay, so injury, of course, we're always scared of getting injured, but I think that you have to take risk calculated. So a calculated risk, and know that we do things because we love them, but we have to also know our ability. It is not scary being a firefighter. If you are thinking about that as a career, it's the best job ever. It is so rewarding. I I'm sorry if there's not enough time to answer all of these questions, but if you want to send me more questions, you can send them on social media, or maybe we can send them through here. But we have some awesome prizes for you. So I think we're gonna get into that. But thank you so much for having me. I implore you to go outside, go and explore the places, be curious about your environment, touch green spaces, because it's going to make you feel so much better. And remember that we have to protect these places if we want to play in them for the rest of our lives.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Haley. It's so wonderful just to hear your perspective and hear your journey through sports and just the way that you engage with the outdoors. And I really appreciated that I was following along with the box breathing too. And and just as sort of like from my own question of just incorporating that breath, like, do you do that when you're also competing? Like, I love that you incorporated that into today as well.
No, I think breathing is something we forget about. And I think often when we're frustrated and if we have like a lot of anxiety, our breath it's shallow and it's, oh my gosh, right? But the minute we slow it down and we're conscious and feel the sun, if we have sun, or just be calm in that moment, it helps us be so much more calculated and move forward towards that, whatever we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I appreciated that so much. And I hope folks also stay in touch with you through social media and follow along as well. And is there anything you want to say in closing, or, before we move on to prizes and stuff like that?
No, just thank you to all the classrooms for being here, and get outside. It's beautiful, and like embrace every season, because it's just going to make you feel so much happier. So if you're feeling down, go outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And find a friend to motivate you if that helps too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Well, yeah, just from the Take Me Outside team and on behalf of everybody watching and everybody who will be watching this recording afterwards as well, thanks so much for participating and being here, and especially for today's theme, health and well-being. I think that you spoke really beautifully to all of those different factors of physical health and mental health and what it takes to end up competing at such a high level. And so thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. I've got some construction behind me, so I'm sorry if there's feedback, but that's also a part of being outside, is construction, right? So we have to embrace the beautiful places we are. So I wonder if probably see the mountains there, but they're there. So that's East Rundle just behind me, but
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that you presented from outside too. I appreciate that. I am in an office right now, but I will be going outside after this. And I have to thank also, and you mentioned Protect Our Winters, and we're going to link them in the chat too, because they really helped coordinate today and make it a reality. So we're so grateful to the folks at POW and the awesome work that they're doing as well. And I'm going to thank our other partners as well, some of who have provided some prizes today that we're going to give away to folks who are attending. Another one of our partners is the Outdoor Learning Store. So they provide resources and supplies to help get you outside with your learners. No matter where you are, kind of across North America, there's something for everybody. And I think they ship worldwide too, because I know there's some folks calling in internationally today too. They're donating a gift card at the end of the session. And MEC has been an amazing support to make this whole week happen. And we're going to be announcing some prizes. So MEC also gave away a gift card that you can use if you are one of the lucky winners. And so when we announce the prizes, you can send us an email if you want, or if you want to just stay in touch with us as well, you can send us an email. And I'll also put our social media handles here. If you are not following us on social media, there's our social media handles in the chat. Oh, there was a kindergarten class here and the snow started falling. Wow. Yeah, it's a good reminder of how diverse our audience across time zones is. It's nice and sunny here in BC today.
Wow, snow.
Yeah.
We have snow coming on Saturday apparently, but that's yeah, it's coming. Winter's coming.
It really truly is. Yeah. And if folks, yeah, and if folks are going outside after this, and if you're doing box breathing or you're doing anything like that, like take photos, take videos, tag us on social media. We want to see all of these, all of your fun adventures outside, or even if you're eating lunch outside, any of that. We love to see that on social media and get outdoor learning trending on social media while we're having fun outside, All right, so I think it's time to move on to the prizes. I think I've talked enough about all of everything else. So yeah, you can email us, or if you are announced as a prize winner, send us your email in the chat, and then we'll be able to contact you just to make sure. And so what we're gonna do is, so I see people active in the chat, so be ready to type in the chat. And so get your typing fingers ready. I'll give you a minute. All right, so I want you to type out something you're going to do outside this week, whether it's with your class or whether it is alone. If I know there's, families and homeschool students in here too, so it might be in a small group, and maybe we'll get some inspiration in the chat. Maybe you can read through the chat.
So many box breathings. That's awesome. I'm so happy you'll use that.
That could pair really well with, I know sit spots are a really popular thing to do outside, and that's great for all ages, to choose a tree and sit under it throughout the whole season and just watch it change. And I think box breathing would be an awesome addition to be sitting there together. Thank you for all the contributions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the first two because you were the fastest typers. So Miss Susan's grade 3-4 class, who is going to paint leaves this week, you have $50 to spend at MEC. So please message your email to the hosts and panelists, or email us, either way. And Madame de la Tour, Nature Art Tomorrow Nation View, you have $25 to spend at the Outdoor Learning Store. So congratulations to all those classes. And thank you so much for everyone just writing in the chat too, because I love to see what people are going to do this week, or yeah. Oh, amazing. Look at all of these. Fantastic. Perfect. And also our tech support, Colin, is going to put a link. There we go. It's right there in the chat for everything else that's happening this week, and as well for the recordings. If you missed anything from yesterday or this morning, we had Joshua Binstock, who's an Olympic volleyball player, or who was an Olympic volleyball player, chatting with us, and did some physical activity stuff on video for you to try. And so please check those out and check out what's happening for the rest of this week. We have a lot of really fun events happening, and we have live art on Thursday. We have Richard Louvre joining us tomorrow. It's going to be a really fun week with a bunch of more speakers and activities. So check that out. And that's all from us. And Haley, anything else from you?
No, just thank you for having me and being engaged. And it's the first step is just being engaged and coming to amazing events like this. And then the second step is getting outside and sharing that with the people you love. So go do that.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's a really great spot to end on. And I hope everyone makes some time to head outside and have a bunch of fun while you're out there. Thank you so much, everybody.
See you later. Thank you.